This is Venezuela in the year 2000. It has functioning markets. People work here. People can buy food. All in all, not a bad place to live. This is Venezuela today. There's no food, the money is worthless, people are dying in the streets, and the government won't even let citizens leave. What happened? How did an entire country go from one of the most prosperous in Latin America to a desperate wreck in less than 2 decades? To understand this, we're going to look at how deadly ideas, combined with a lust for power, drew Venezuela down into a swirling cesspool of violence, chaos, and death. The story of Venezuela's downfall really starts with one man, Hugo Chavez. Through a combination of charisma, brute force, and a poisonous ideology, Chavez almost single-handedly drove his country to ruin. From his humble beginnings in the Venezuelan military, Chavez always harbored ambitions of power. In 1992, he even attempted a military coup against the government. He failed and was sent to prison for his crimes. In a forced apology, Chavez defiantly noted that his revolution was over, for now.
Compañeros, lamentablemente, por ahora, los objetivos que nos planteamos no fueron logrados en la ciudad capital. Es decir, nosotros acá en Caracas no logramos controlar el poder. Nuevas situaciones y el país tiene que enrumbarse definitivamente hacia un destino mejor.
Chavez used his solitude to do a lot of reading and soul-searching. But where some people find religion or philosophy, Chavez found Marx. Was he a true believer? It's hard to say, but his inner demagogue saw the potential to use Marx's rhetoric about the downtrodden proletariat as a way to consolidate his power.
Personas piensan que inicialmente el presidente Hugo Chávez no tenía una propuesta socialista, pero solamente basta leer las ideas fundamentales para la Quinta República, que era el documento que Hugo Chávez había elaborado en 1999 para la nueva Constitución.
When he got out of prison, he began to campaign for political office, this time using words and ideas instead of guns. In the 1990s, a lot of Venezuelans were feeling anxious. An oil boom had promised wealth and prosperity for all, but many migrants from rural villages had yet to find the economic opportunities they'd hoped for. At the same time, a two-party duopoly had emerged, agreeing to trade off power every election cycle, entrenching the political class.
En países como los Estados Unidos de América, donde el rule of law o el Estado de Derecho es importante, en Venezuela, como muchos países de América Latina, la democracia ha sido más importante que el rule of law y el Estado de Derecho, con lo cual la mayoría de los venezolanos creen que básicamente el rol del Estado debe ser el de proveer derechos sociales, olvidándose de que los derechos individuales son lo más importante, con lo cual la revolución socialista que existe en Venezuela, la revolución marxista que hoy existe en Venezuela, ha tenido un camino mucho más fácil, puesto que sencillamente lo que apela es a las emociones de los venezolanos.
Tierra y título, pero nada de crédito, ni de apoyo técnico. Bueno, ¿y qué pasó con los campesinos? No llegó al campesino los beneficios del petróleo y de la riqueza nacional. Pues bien, eso ahora no puede ocurrir de nuevo, y ese es uno de los principios.
A lot of people felt left behind, like the government was only for the rich and connected, and not for them. Chavez exploited these feelings with promises of worker equality. In 1998, he was elected president in a landslide.
El proyecto del neoliberalismo salvaje, que hay una mano invisible, el mercado que todo lo arregla. Mentira, mentira, 1000 veces mentira.
It didn't take long for Chavez to grow frustrated with the limits on his power. Venezuela still had a constitution, and its checks and balances limited the power of aspiring dictators. Undaunted, Chavez traded on his popularity and charisma to rewrite the rules. In 1999, he called a nationwide referendum that allowed him to alter the Constitution, expanding his power in the process. Now he had unchecked authority to impose his socialist vision.
Porque estoy cansado de que este hombre esté gobernando y esté destruyendo el país con hambre y miseria. Y estoy cansado de que este hombre esté al lado de los terroristas y que nos esté apabullando y dándole el abrazo a Fidel Castro. No queremos comunismo en nuestro país. Queremos libertad, queremos democracia. ¡Abajo, Chávez!
Hugo Chávez sostuvo la idea de que para inaugurar una nueva etapa política en Venezuela era necesario cambiar la Constitución. Y a través de una interpretación completamente errónea y contraria a la Constitución de 1961, se permitió una Asamblea Nacional Constituyente que abolió todos los poderes públicos y redactó una nueva Constitución al margen de la Constitución del 61. Eso fue sencillamente un golpe de Estado.
By 2006, Chavez invoked the language of Marxism.
Revolucionario lo que está es distribuyendo la riqueza entre todos para que todos vivamos mejor, porque la riqueza de Venezuela es de todos, no de una minoría.
Openly admitting wanting the unchecked powers of a dictatorship, but it would be a dictatorship of the people. The government began to seize control of one industry after another. Marxist socialism taught Chavez that central planning would work better. Conveniently, total control of the economic means of production only reinforced his unlimited, unstoppable power. Now he would decide winners and losers, and he was very good at rewarding his political cronies. Chavez used the revenue from Venezuela's oil fields to buy popular support through generous welfare programs. And for a while, it seemed to work. The oil money paid for health care, provided you were well connected enough to find a doctor. It paid for education, and free schools taught children to love their president. But like all government promises, these required more and more money to feed the vote-buying machine. So Chavez's government diverted more and more of the country's industry towards the production of oil. Pretty soon, the nationalized oil industry crowded out private enterprise almost completely. But the global price of oil was high, and oil was in high demand. What could go wrong?
Closing numbers on the markets today. At one point, the market fell as if down a well, over 700 points.
Apple shares are just getting hammered this morning.
We're down by between 3 and 4.5% generally across these markets. What in the world is happening on Wall Street?